It didn't start with the bruise, or the text from Mark, or even the late-night party she swore was just girls. It started months ago. I couldn't tell you the exact day things shifted. There wasn't a moment I could circle on the calendar and say this is when I lost her. But looking back, the signs were there, lined up like dots waiting to be connected. It was subtle at first. The way her tone changed when she said my name. Not angry, not cruel, just detached. Like she was talking to someone she used to know. Then came the little things. The affection that disappeared without a fight. The half-smiles instead of real ones. The way she pulled away just slightly when I reached for her hand while watching TV. Like the gesture reminded her of something she didn't feel anymore. At first, I told myself not to overthink it. Every marriage has quiet phases. We'd both been busy. Maybe she was stressed. Maybe she needed space. But space turned into distance. And distance turned into secrets. I remember the first Friday she didn't come home on time. She'd said there was a project deadline at work. Everyone's staying late, she told me, breezing out the door with a kiss on the cheek that didn't land right. But around 8 p.m., I got a text from her coworker's husband, Tim. We'd met at a company barbecue once, shared a beer, talked about baseball. He asked if Sarah had made it home yet. His wife had left the office hours ago, and he figured they were carpooling. I stared at the text for a long time before responding with a vague, "Yeah, I think she's on her way. She got home past 10. Said traffic was insane. You know how Fridays get." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her. But then came the cologne. Not mine. Something sharp. Expensive. I caught it the first time on her coat collar. Not overwhelming, but distinct enough to be noticed. I asked about it. She shrugged. Elevator at work. Some guy practically bathed in it. I wanted to laugh, to call it ridiculous. But instead, I nodded like that made sense. Because sometimes it's easier to let yourself be lied to than to accept the truth knocking on the back of your mind. After that, I started noticing more. The way she took her phone everywhere. Bathroom, laundry room, even into the shower if she was in there long enough. It was always face down. Always on silent. And her screen time suddenly tripled. According to the shared iCloud report, she didn't realize I still got weekly. She used to tell me everything. Now, she told me just enough to keep me from asking. One night, I came home early from work. Her car was in the driveway, but the house was quiet. Too quiet. I found her upstairs, sitting on the bed, laptop open, but when I stepped into the room, she jumped. Actually jumped, like a guilty teenager. I asked what she was working on. She said emails. I asked why she looked scared. She laughed it off. You startled me. Don't be weird. She always had an answer. And each time I convinced myself I was the one being paranoid. That I was reading into things because I was tired or stressed or insecure. But the truth is, my gut had been screaming at me for weeks. I just kept turning the volume down. I remember this one night. We were lying in bed, and I watched her scroll through her phone with this tiny smile on her lips. Not laughing, not reacting, just smiling in a way I hadn't seen in a long time. It wasn't a smile for me. I knew that instantly. I asked her what was funny. She said TikTok. Some dog video. I reached for her phone playfully. Show me? She hesitated. Froze actually. Then flipped the screen. Locked it, and said, "It's nothing. You wouldn't get it." And maybe I wouldn't have. Because it probably wasn't a dog video. It was probably Mark. Or someone else she hadn't mentioned yet. After that, I started keeping notes. Not on paper. Not in some dramatic way. Just mental ones. Friday, April 14th. Said she was at the office until 9. Jenna posted a group pic at 6:30. No Sarah. Monday, April 24th. New dress. Said it was from a sale, but the tag was still attached when I did laundry. Full price, $3.90. Thursday, May 11th. She came home smelling like hotel soap. Not ours. Different. It wasn't that I didn't trust her. It's that I couldn't afford to anymore. Every little thing started to feel like a breadcrumb, and I was starving for clarity. She was rewriting our history in real time, and I was stuck on the previous draft, trying to remember what it felt like to be enough for her. I started watching her more closely, not because I wanted to catch her, but because I wanted to understand the version of her I was living with now. The woman who still laughed at sitcoms, still used my hoodie when she was cold, still asked if I wanted anything from the store, and yet somehow wasn't really there. And the truth is, the scariest part wasn't the suspicion. It was the emotional distance. You can survive a lot in a marriage, fights, financial stress, even mistakes, but the moment you start feeling like a roommate instead of a partner, that's when things start to rot from the inside out. We stopped sharing details. She stopped telling me when she was sad, or when something funny happened at work. I stopped asking. It felt like we were both dancing around something unspoken. Like naming it would break the illusion we were trying to protect. I'd find myself staring at her sometimes while she was brushing her hair or humming in the kitchen, just watching, trying to spot it the moment she slipped away. But there was no moment, just a slow fade. One night, I heard her crying in the bathroom. Door locked, shower running. I knocked. She didn't answer. When she came out, her eyes were red, but she smiled, said it was allergies. And I said okay, because that's what I did. I said okay, over and over, even when nothing felt okay. I started to feel like a stranger in my own house, like I was walking through a museum of memories I didn't recognize anymore. Every framed photo felt dishonest. Every love you at the end of a text felt automatic. I stopped believing her. And worse, I stopped believing myself. Was I going crazy? Was I just jealous? Possessive? Was I imagining things? Creating a narrative that wasn't real? But then I remembered the text from Mark. Last night was perfect. I can't stop thinking about you. I remembered the bruise. I remembered the way she looked when she realized I saw both. And that's when everything inside me settled. I wasn't paranoid. I wasn't insecure. I was right. She was lying to me. She had been lying for a long time. And maybe, in some twisted way, I needed that message from Mark. I needed the bruise. I needed the crack in the dam. Because until that moment, I had only suspicion. Now I had confirmation. The woman I loved was gone. Or maybe she'd been gone for a while, and I just hadn't been ready to admit it. But now, I was ready. I used to tell myself that if I ever caught her cheating, I'd know exactly what to do. I imagined anger, confrontation, shouting, maybe, some kind of dramatic line in the sand where I'd draw the boundary and walk away with my dignity intact. But when the actual proof came, it didn't feel like that at all. It felt like drowning slowly with my eyes open. It started with a photo, not one I took, not one Sarah sent me, came from a friend, someone I hadn't spoken to in over a year, but who still followed both of us on social media. Hey man, not my business, but I saw this and thought you should know. That was the message. Attached was a **T. I stared at it on my phone, sitting in my car in the grocery store parking lot. The afternoon sun baking through the windshield like it didn't care my life was splintering in real time. It was a photo from the party Sarah had gone to. The one she claimed was just a low-key night with friends. The one where she told me they barely took any pictures. This picture said otherwise. There she was, in the center of the frame, wearing that black silk top I'd never seen before. Laughing, leaning into a guy I didn't recognize at first. His arm was around her waist. Her hand rested on his chest. Mark. He wasn't tagged, but someone in the comments mentioned his name. OMG Mark, and Sarah's smiling face with heart eyes. Finally. Finally? What the hell did that mean? I stared at the image for a full 5 minutes before I realized I hadn't taken a breath. I told myself it could have been innocent. Maybe it was just the angle. Maybe she leaned in for the photo and nothing more. People stand close at parties. It doesn't mean anything. But the second photo buried that excuse. Another **T, sent by the same friend a few minutes later. Sorry to be the messenger. This one's worse. It was taken at the same party. Different angle. Mark and Sarah. Same black top. Same drink in her hand. But this time, their faces were inches apart. His lips were on hers. Not just a peck. Not playful. It was a full, open kiss, mouths pressed together, her eyes closed, her hand gripping the back of his neck like it was the most natural thing in the world. I can't explain what happened to my body in that moment. My stomach didn't just drop. Twisted. Folded in on itself. I've been punched before. Once in high school, once in a bar fight I didn't start. But nothing hit like this. I couldn't feel my legs. My hands went numb. There was a ringing in my ears I couldn't shake. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw my phone. I wanted to smash something just to hear the sound of something breaking that wasn't me. But I didn't do any of that. I just sat there, in silence, letting the pictures sink in like poison. This wasn't suspicion anymore. This wasn't paranoia. This was confirmation. She had kissed him. She had done it in public. At a party. Surrounded by people who apparently knew. People who cheered them on in the comments. She wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. That night I didn't confront her. I didn't send her the *TS. I didn't text. I didn't even look her in the eye when I got home. She was already asleep when I walked in, or at least pretending to be. Her phone was face down on the nightstand. The room smelled faintly of her perfume, lavender and something floral, like it always did. I stared at her silhouette under the blanket and felt like I was looking at a stranger. A familiar shape housing someone I no longer recognized. I lay down next to her and stared at the ceiling for hours. Sleep never came. In the morning, she made coffee like nothing happened. She asked if I needed anything from the store. Said she might meet up with Jenna later. Jenna. Her go-to alibi. I almost laughed. The deception wasn't even subtle anymore. And the worst part? She probably thought she was getting away with it. People always say cheating is the worst betrayal. But it's not just the act. It's the rewriting of reality. It's the gaslighting. The smiles. The casual "I love you" tossed around like confetti. Even while they're building a second life behind your back. I started collecting the proof. Not because I wanted revenge. Not yet. But because I needed it. I needed to see it, feel it, hold it in my hands like a ledger of pain. Something that said, "You're not crazy, Jason. You're not imagining this." I found more photos. Not just from that night, others. Group *TS posted by mutual friends. Mostly innocent on the surface. But if you looked closely, there was always a pattern. Mark was never far from her. Always in the background. Sometimes next to her. A hand on her back. A shared glance. A drink passed between them. I scrolled through her Instagram, pretending to be casual, pretending I was looking for something else. She had started posting more stories. Out with friends, clinking glasses, blurry dance floor *TS. But he was never tagged. Smart. But not smart enough. One night I checked her location. It was something we'd set up years ago during a road trip. I hadn't thought about it in ages. According to her phone, she was at a downtown apartment complex. Not Jenna's. Not even close. I waited until she got home before saying anything. "How was Jenna's?" I asked, leaning against the doorway. She froze for a split second, then smiled. "Good. We just caught up. Had wine. You know how she is." I nodded. "Must have moved, huh?" "What?" "Jenna. That's a long drive from 6th and Madison." Her smile flickered, just for a moment, but that's all it took. "You tracked me?" she asked, suddenly defensive. "No," I said calmly. "You forgot we shared locations." She didn't say anything for a long time. Then came the anger, the blame, the distraction tactics. "Do you not trust me?" "No," I said. "I don't." She stormed out of the room, muttering something about boundaries. But the damage was done. I saw the truth in her silence. That night, I sent myself every *T, every message, every photo I could find. I backed it all up on a flash drive, labeled it something boring, and hid it in my desk drawer. I wasn't planning anything yet. Not officially. But I knew the day would come when I'd need it. 2 days later, it did. Mark posted a photo on his private Instagram. Someone I knew sent it to me. It was of Sarah. Just her. Sitting on a patio chair, sipping a mimosa, hair pulled back in that way she only did when she wanted to impress someone. Caption: Sundays are better with you. Heart emoji. That was it. She didn't look drunk, or surprised, or uncomfortable. She looked happy. Genuinely, heartbreakingly happy. I showed her the photo that night. Didn't say a word. Just handed her my phone. She stared at it for a long time. Then, finally, she whispered, "I can explain." But I didn't want explanations. I wanted honesty. And I realized, maybe for the first time, that they weren't the same thing. When someone cheats, they don't just break hearts, they build an entire world on borrowed time. They tell lies with borrowed trust. They steal moments, cover their tracks, and stack excuses like sandbags against a flood they know is coming. And when the truth finally hits, that world collapses. And I was done trying to hold it up for her. The morning after Sarah tried to explain, I didn't say much. She slept in. I didn't. I brewed coffee, sat at the table, and stared at the wedding photo we kept on the side shelf. I wasn't even angry anymore, just hollow. She looked beautiful in that picture, backlit by autumn leaves, smiling at me like we had forever. I turned the frame face down. By the time she finally came downstairs in one of my old sweatshirts like nothing had changed, I'd already made a decision. I was done keeping her comfortable. She sat across from me, her eyes puffy, like she wanted to cry again, like that was a currency we still traded in. "Jason," she said softly, "I don't want to lose you." "You already did," I wanted to say. "You lost me the second you started looking for someone else while pretending I was still enough." But I didn't say that. I just nodded. "Okay." And then I got up, walked out the door, and didn't come back until nightfall. That afternoon, I spent 4 hours making calls. Bank, credit card companies, utility providers, subscription services. One after another, I removed her name, transferred what was mine, closed what we had shared. I had never felt so calm. Our accounts were all joint. She insisted on it, said it made things feel more equal. Funny how that same setup became her safety net. She'd used our money to pay for her Uber rides to him, bought new clothes on the shared card, booked hotel rooms under the family plan. She never had to think twice, because she knew the bills were covered. Not anymore. I left her gas card active for one more day, enough time to fill her tank. After that, gone. When I got home that night, I didn't announce anything. I didn't say, "Hey, by the way, your financial rug is about to be pulled." I just went to bed. The next morning, it began. It started with her Spotify account. I was brushing my teeth when I heard her mutter from the kitchen, "Babe, my playlists are gone." I didn't answer. Then came the Hulu login. Then Amazon. Then her phone pinged with a message. "Your payment method was declined." "Jason," she called from the couch. "Is something wrong with our account?" I walked into the room, drying my hands with a towel. "Our account doesn't exist anymore," I said flatly. She blinked. "What do you mean?" "I mean it's mine now. The bank, the cards, the subscriptions. I removed you from everything." Her face twisted in confusion and fear. "Why would you do that?" "Jason, these are our things." I corrected. "They were ours." I didn't shout. I didn't throw anything. I just said it plain. That seemed to unnerve her more than anything. "Are you seriously trying to punish me?" she asked. "No," I replied. "I'm just returning your freedom. You wanted to live like I wasn't part of your life. So now you don't have to pretend." She didn't say anything after that. She just stared at me, as if seeing me for the first time in weeks. That afternoon, her phone service shut off. She was still on the family plan. I'd already set mine up separately. Hers? Cancelled. I saw her standing in the hallway, holding her phone, tapping the screen over and over like it might wake up if she just stared hard enough. She finally walked into the living room, holding the dead rectangle in her hand like it had betrayed her. "My phone's not working," she said. "I know." She opened her mouth to say something, but nothing came out. Later, she tried to order food using one of our shared delivery apps. Denied. The card on file was gone. She opened the fridge, closed it, reopened it like something new might have materialized inside. "Do you want to eat something?" she asked. I'm good, I said, scrolling through my phone. I had already eaten while she was in the shower. By evening, the shift was visible. No more Spotify playing in the background. No Netflix noise to fill the silence. No Postmates bags on the counter. No mindless scrolling. Just quiet. She paced the hallway a bit, kept checking her phone like it might magically reconnect. Eventually, she sat across from me at the table. I know you're mad, she said, but you're being cruel. I raised an eyebrow. I'm not yelling. I'm not insulting you. I'm just adjusting the environment to match the reality. What does that mean? It means, I said slowly, you don't get to cheat on someone and still keep their benefits. You've had emotional support, financial security, a clean home, shared health insurance, and someone who backed you through everything. For years. That version of me is gone. The version who lets you walk all over him while pretending things are fine? He doesn't live here anymore. She leaned forward, eyes glassy. I made a mistake, Jason. No, I corrected. You made a choice. You made that choice in his car, in his apartment, at that party. Repeatedly. Over and over. That's not a mistake. That's a pattern. She wiped her eyes, but I didn't flinch. I didn't know her softness anymore. Over the next few days, she scrambled. She called her mom on my backup phone, the one we kept in the junk drawer. She told her she needed help paying her phone bill. She borrowed money from a friend to buy groceries. She asked if she could borrow my car for a job interview. I said no. You're just going to leave me with nothing? She asked. You already have nothing, I said. You gave up everything when you decided someone else was worth more than this life. She stormed out of the house. That was the first time she didn't come back before midnight. I didn't wait up. When she did come home, she didn't say anything. Just went straight to the guest room. I slept better that night than I had in weeks. By the weekend, she looked like a different person. Tired, unsteady. The kind of stress that sits behind the eyes and makes everything feel fragile. She tried again on Sunday. Can we talk? I nodded. She sat down, hands folded in her lap. I know I messed up, she said. But you're tearing my life apart. No, I said gently. I'm just letting it fall without holding it up for you. She shook her head, like she couldn't believe who I'd become. But the truth was, I was just becoming who I should have been all along. Someone who valued his own worth enough to stop funding the comfort of the person who betrayed him. Because for too long, she'd gotten used to the idea that she could have both. A husband and a lover. A home and a secret. A paycheck and a playground. Not anymore. Not here. I wasn't looking for revenge. I told myself that over and over like a mantra. Like if I repeated it enough, it would make me the better person. But some betrayals don't deserve silence. Some truths don't deserve to be buried. When Sarah broke us, when she chose Mark and all the lies that came with him, she didn't just betray a marriage. She nized my loyalty. She used my name, my income, my stability as cover while she built something else in the dark. She thought I'd just take the hit quietly and walk away. But I wasn't going to let her walk through the wreckage untouched. Not when she had so carefully maintained the illusion. Not when she had built her entire professional image on being someone she clearly wasn't. Sarah was proud of her job. It was more than a paycheck to her. It was her identity. Director of Strategy sounded powerful when she said it. She used that title like armor. At dinner parties, on her LinkedIn, with her family. She worked for a tech firm, a fast-growing company where image was everything. She liked to talk about corporate culture, about ethics and responsibility and leadership. And yet, she had used their systems, their resources, their time to cheat. Literally. I had the receipts, emails, calendar invites disguised as client meetings, travel expenses filed under conference attendance. That just happened to align with weekends I now knew she'd spent with him. One night in a hotel that she claimed was a company retreat. But the receipt included a room service charge for two. They had dinner together, on the company card. And the worst part? He didn't even work there. I didn't come to this discovery by accident. I started looking weeks ago, back when the suspicion first started clawing at me. I didn't know exactly what I was looking for then. But now, it all connected. Pattern. An ugly, undeniable pattern. And so I did what any broken, betrayed husband with nothing left to protect would do. I printed everything. I made a packet. Neat. Professional. The kind of thing she would have done herself in a boardroom, just with a different target. Screensh *TS of her email threads. Expense reports. Travel confirmations. Even an Instagram post that showed her drinking wine with Mark at a rooftop bar in Chicago. On the same day she claimed to be in meetings from 9 to 5. I included it all. Labeled. Dated. Organized. I didn't send it anonymously. I wasn't hiding. I emailed it directly to her company's HR department and CC'd her supervisor. I kept the tone respectful, clinical even. Subject. Concern regarding employee misconduct, Sarah Lane. To whom it may concern. I am writing to provide documentation regarding an ongoing pattern of misuse of company time and resources by one of your employees. Sarah Lane, Director of Strategy. The attached records indicate that she has repeatedly used company assets to conduct personal affairs during work hours, including travel booked under false pretenses and communications unrelated to company business. I understand this is a serious matter. I have no intention of interfering with your internal processes, but I believe you deserve to know the facts. I am available to speak further if needed. Sincerely, Jason Lane. I sent it. I closed the laptop. Then I waited. Sarah came home around 6 that night. She was wearing that navy blouse she always saved for big meetings, the one with the stiff collar and gold buttons. Her heels clicked across the floor with that same confidence I used to admire. But I saw the tension in her shoulders. She didn't say anything at first, just set her bag down, kicked off her shoes, and walked into the kitchen. A moment passed, then another. Finally, "Did you do something?" I didn't look up from my book. "Like what?" She turned to face me. "Like send an email to my company." I closed the book slowly, met her eyes. Yes. Her face contorted into something between disbelief and panic. "Are you serious?" "You bet I am. You're trying to ruin my life," she snapped. "No," I said. "You did that all on your own. I just stopped helping you pretend." She paced the kitchen, hands on her head, muttering to herself. "Jason, my career was built on lies." I cut in. "You stood in front of teams, gave presentations about trust, while you were sneaking off to cheat using the company's dime. You don't get to call that a career anymore. That's theft dressed up in a pantsuit." Her mouth opened and closed, but no words came. That night she barely slept. I heard her typing furiously from the guest room, probably writing some kind of desperate email to her boss. Damage control. Spin. But spin only works when people don't know the truth. The next morning she left early. No makeup. No coffee. Just grabbed her bag and keys and left without a word. She came back 3 hours later. No words. Just walked straight to the bedroom and slammed the door. I already knew. I waited until she showered, then knocked softly. I'm assuming it didn't go well. No answer. So I opened the door. She was sitting on the edge of the bed in sweatpants, staring at nothing. Her badge sat next to her, cut in half. "They fired you?" I asked. Still nothing. "Sarah." She nodded, eyes wet. "They said they were investigating," she whispered. "Then today they called me in. Said the evidence was clear. Unauthorized expenses. Breach of ethics. Misuse of company property." She wiped at her face. "They escorted me out. I should have felt something. Guilt. Sympathy. Maybe even a little pity. But all I felt was relief. Because for once, the consequences weren't mine to carry. For once, she had to sit in the mess she made." She looked up at me, broken in a way I hadn't seen before. "I gave everything to that job," she said. "You also gave it everything but the truth." She didn't reply. I turned to walk out, then stopped. "One more thing," I said. "Don't bother updating your resume just yet." "Why?" she asked bitterly. "Because your name's already circulating," I said. "People talk. Reputations spread. Especially when you burn down a company's trust for a side fling." That was when she broke. Not with yelling. Not with pleading. Just a soft collapse. Like all the air had left her body. She curled into herself, sobbing into a pillow, repeating the same words over and over. I didn't mean for it to go this far. But that's the thing about betrayal. It never starts big. It starts with a text, a look, a choice, and then another, and another, until eventually you've built something you can't undo, only destroy. And now the wreckage wasn't just emotional. It was professional, tangible, measurable. She lost her job, her title, her income, her shield, and all she had left was the truth, and the silence that came with it. I showed her family everything, photos, messages, timelines. No spin, just facts. Her mother cried. Her brother didn't speak. The silence after was louder than any shouting match. They had defended her for years. But now, even they couldn't deny who she'd become. Their disappointment said what words couldn't. She lost more than her marriage that day. She lost the people who used to believe in her. I moved into a smaller place, quiet, mine. I reconnected with old friends, picked up running again, even started cooking. The peace felt foreign at first, then familiar. No more secrets, no more lies, just freedom. She lost the job, the support, the image. I lost the illusion. And honestly, that was the best part.